Mantarat Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanandi ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So today we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 10, and we are finishing the chapter, verses 31, 36, and I'll be honest with you, as I looked at the verses this morning, I had this brilliant idea, and I looked into another book, swept up in the other book. So this will be a little bit of the other book, but I do have a formulation of what do we want to do today, but not as it did. I got sidetracked. I honestly say I got sidetracked, and I want you also to be sidetracked because it was a good sidetrack. So I don't know which verse we'll say together, but let's see if one calls to us. Let's read the English of those 5 verses. The first 31. Oh, so you know what's happening. What is happening here? Where is he leaving from? That's the point. Where is he going? So I tend to on these sidetracks often, but I've asked, because the Srimad Bhagavatam is vast, it's huge, and the primary focus of Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why we always Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We offer our obeisances to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is full of 6 opulences, and those opulences are expanded upon and expanded upon and expanded upon throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam in so many different ways, but then they culminate in just hearing about Krishna, the 2-armed form of Krishna, as Bhagavad Gita, as it says, one should meditate on this 2-armed form of Krishna with a peacock feather. It lives in Vrindavan. So that is the culmination, and the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's like a co-compilation. It's mainly the discussion of Sukadeva and Parikshit, but it's Vyasadeva who's put it together for us, specifically for us, and I'll try to remember a verse later why it's specifically us today. And so the person, this Srimad Bhagavatam becomes very personal to every reader who picks it up. It becomes very personal. But Vyasadeva is, you've just heard in the last semester, you heard he had some struggle. He wrote so much Vedic literature and he wasn't feeling completely satisfied. He was dissatisfied even though Mahabharata, there's so much of Krishna there, there's so much of the devotees of Krishna, and right now we're kind of weaving together. We're hearing some Mahabharata, we're hearing some Bhagavatam. So Vyasadeva, when he came to understand it is Krishna we want to hear about. how do I present this? How should I just go to the 5 chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam that so many people always cheaply would go to, Krishna's Ras Leela? No, I want to give them a full understanding of this Bhagavate Vasudevaya, this Supreme Personality of God. I want them to have a full understanding so that when they do hear about Krishna, there'll be no confusion of, oh, he looks like he's doing something I would like to do. Devotees are doing things I would, so to do that, he wanted to give a very concise, and this it was a perfect opportunity because Shukadev and Parikshit Maharaj had just had this wonderful conversation that was also very progressive in the same way. But Vyasadeva didn't want to wait. Didn't want to wait till the 10th canto, because that's what Sukadev did. So Vyasadeva puts Krishna very expertly in this first canto. And very mysteriously, you can almost miss Krishna, because, although he's in here in these 4 or 5 chapters, and then we hear the result of Krishna also in the last few chapters of this first canto. You hear the effect that Krishna has on those devotees. But he's very mysterious. He puts him in there as you could say, a teaser. It's the what they call those things when they don't show the whole movie, but they show a little bit, a trailer, so you go and see the movie. So this is the trailer. And we can still, even in the trailer, we can still miss Krishna. So, actually, there's so much here that Krishna is doing, but it's not being spoken about. And so, what has Krishna done? Or when did Krishna first, for those who are regular students here, when did Krishna first appear? Just after the Kurukshetra war? And in what circumstance? Ashwatthama did a horrible act. So again, that it's a trailer. It's like, it's got to catch you in the beginning, right? It's a horrible act. Ashwatthama has done this terrible thing. And so this is where we're introduced to Krishna. Krishna as the only shelter for his devotees, the Pandavas. And so we see him there. And then the next chapter, we see him save Parikshit in the womb. We don't actually hear his words or anything, but we see it's a description. Saves Uttara's embryo in the womb. And then the prayers of Kunti. And then the prayers of Bhishma. And he's there. He's either the focus of the prayers, or he's there with Bhishma. And now we're hearing about his departure. But what has Krishna said in all of this? Has he said anything? He actually has said a couple things. And it's also very mysterious how Krishna does this. And it was only in the Ashwatthama. Only in the Ashwatthama. Otherwise, Krishna doesn't say a word. It's just that he's acting. And I asked you, look at Krishna. Try to observe him, what he's doing, how he's interacting. And so with Ashwatthama, there's 3 things. He first gave him military advice. Ashwatthama had thrown this missile that by mantra, very intricate, and he was confused. And Krishna said, only another missile of the same kind cannot counteract it. So he gave military advice. And This is showing that the devotee of Krishna is fully dependent on. And this is what we need in our as we want to journey through the Srimad Bhagavatam. We have to be dependent on Krishna, because although we're hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, this is also applicable to our life. We're hearers of Srimad Bhagavatam. We're hearing again and again 2 or 3 whole chapters, the importance of Srimad Bhagavatam, that devotion it comes from Srimad Bhagavatam. That just by hearing Srimad just by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, we become purified and we begin our path back to Krishna. And so this dependence on these I was just reading a commentary by Jiva Goswami, and he was writing a book, and he was just about to begin the description of Krishna's birth. And he said, we hear these to soften our heart. This is because our heart has become so hard. And we have to almost, to live in the world that we live in, you do have to become very protective and become very hard in discussions of God and discussions of relationship with God. These things are not too much widely done, but we need to soften our heart. And Jiva Goswami says, by hearing, and this is the thing, not by hearing about Krishna, by hearing about Krishna's effects on his devotees, that softens the heart. And so Arjuna completely surrendered, like, I don't know what to do. Arjuna knew what to do, but he's surrendering to Krishna. I don't know what to do in this instance. Krishna gives him military advice. Second thing, captures Ashwatthana, wants to kill him because he's murdered the sleeping children. And then he gives moral advice. About 2 or 3 verses, he gives some moral advice to Arjuna. Oh yes, a killer of children must, they must achieve the same result. They must be killed, and so he gives some moral advice. Arjuna is still struggling. He's struggling. And again, if we look at these, don't just look only as a story, but we have to try to apply these in our life. How many times are we struggling with decisions we have to make? Day to day, minute by minute sometimes, we're making a choice. Do I do this? Do I do that? And then sometimes we have bigger things in our life. Oh, should I, when do I, do something different than what I'm doing now, what I'm accustomed to? When do I give something up that may be holding me back? All these things, we're struggling with these choices. And so many things are being thrown at us too. Family, society, everything is coming at us. How do we make these choices? Well, we surrender to Krishna as Arjuna is doing. But even then, sometimes it's not just the first words. Then Arjuna brings the culprit before his wife, Draupadi, who he had promised previously, I will bring him, and this is Kshatriya. This is something we're not accustomed. We don't know what Kshatriyas are, but Kshatriyas are very powerful. Virya is the word. Very, and so Draupadi was also Kshatriya. So she was so angry at this act, and Arjuna saw it, and he said, I will bring his head, and you can stand on it as you take your bath. Whoa, quite an image there. But then when Draupadi actually saw him, then her natural compassion flowed out. Oh, he is the son of your guru. You have all your knowledge of military and everything. has been given to him by your guru, and the son is always the representative of the father, so he is basically like your guru. You can't do it. And then hearing this, Yudhisthira said, yes, that sounds good to me. And Nakula and Sahadev and everybody was yes, but there was one person who said, no. It was Bhima. He's also Frikadar. He's also very powerful. And he said no. And Krishna also said no. And so there's this struggle. You got this big struggle, and we're all going through struggles. And you got 4 Pandavas and Draupadi on one side. You got Krishna, Arjuna, and Bhima on the other. Well, Krishna and Bhima on the other side, and you got the culprit in the middle, and you have Arjuna in the middle, and he's like going back and forth. What do I do? What do I do? And Krishna, what did Krishna do? Does anybody? He did one thing first before he spoke. Krishna? No. He smiled. He smiled. Does anyone remember another instance where Krishna smiled? At Kunti. After Arjuna put the bow down. So, good job. Put the bow down, and Krishna, he smiled. So, you can look at this and say, boy, this guy's a little sadistic. He's like he's taking pleasure in the distress of his devotees, of those who are fully smiling. No, it's this smile. And that's where I got sidetracked. So I'll get to that. Hopefully we'll have time. We'll get to that. But he smiled. He smiled at him, full of compassion. And Krishna's smile contains so much. Because when you have, if you're a parent, when you become parents someday, some of you will become parents, and when your children are, that your children are quite a load to handle, for sure. But sometimes they'll come in and they've hurt themselves, and sometimes seriously, sometimes not so seriously. But as soon as you see them, the parents generally smile, because it's to give the impression to the child that don't worry. Your mata is here, your pita is here, your father and mother here. We'll take care of you. Don't worry. And so that usually the child usually just stops crying, right, like that. Even though the pain may be, and a lot of times, yes, they make a mountain of a molehill. they'll stub their toe, and it's like, oh, well, start at this thing, but he's fine. And all you have to do is you kiss it. Right? You kiss it. Does it feel better? Yes, it feels better. We've done nothing. But we've shown them that we are there for you. We're there for you. We're there to take care of you. Yeah, they're not laughing. They're smiling. They're giving the compassion. And so what does this do for the child? The child, their faith and their love increases for the parent. Oh, whenever I had a problem, kiss my boo-boos, right? And so Krishna smiled at Arjuna, and then he gave him advice. He gave him, again, it was like advice just for Arjuna. He said, yes, a culprit of this must be killed, but the son of a Brahmana must never be killed. And so you have to. So it's not always just, because Krishna's very mysterious. It's very mysterious how he does things. He said, you have to please Draupadi and your brothers, Yudhisthira and Nakula and Sahadev. But you also have to satisfy me and Bhima. So you have to kill him, and you have to not kill him. So, Krishna gives the knowledge, he gives remembrance of him, he gives Also, as we surrender to Krishna, he gives us the knowledge by which we can come to him. So Arjuna said, oh, okay. The Brahmana's greatest fame is their jewel or their external garments or whatever. Let me cut that away. That's just like death. That's for Brahmana. For Kshatriya, what's like death? Yeah, mustache is hair. But what happens when you take it away? Dishonor, their fame. So for Brahmana, certain things. For Kshatriya, if you become disgraced, that's worse than what Krishna said. Dishonor is worse than death. So it's a long about way to introduce this. So Krishna, he is there for his devotees, and that's what's being pointed out here. And in that little comment by Jiva Goswami is that we are to pay attention to these things, because these are the keys to devotional service and keys to becoming attracted to Krishna. Jiva said, the prema of the devotees of Krishna, that is our guiding. Those are what guide us. Their love. And so we saw that again and again. Don't go, Krishna, don't go. Uttara is in trouble. Okay, I'll say, don't go, Krishna, don't go, Krishna. Kunti is here, is offering prayer. Don't go, Krishna, Yudhishthira. I can't wrap my head around what I've done just for me. Don't go, Krishna, don't go. Again. This love that they have is just overwhelming for us. If we look at it, a lot of times we breeze through these chapters. Where's the good stuff? Where's the killing? And where's Vraha? Where's all these things? But these things, and you could say this chapter and the next chapter, they're so similar. They're just, a little description of Krishna going and Krishna coming. But if we look at them very deeply, we see what the effect is. Srila Prabhupada, one of his last, some of his last purports, the Damodar Leela, and he said, and these are clues to how we should read Srimad Bhagavatam. He's saying, if one wants a relationship with Krishna, so I think we can all say, who wants a relationship with Krishna? Already, yeah, I want a relationship with Krishna. If one wants this, it says that you need to meditate on the devotees. So he says of Yasoda, says, if one wants a relationship like Yasoda, and he's speaking of the Vatsalya relationship, which is like an elder to the Lord, elder to Krishna, then one must meditate on Yasoda, how she is churning. It's the beads of perspiration on her head, the flowers falling from her arms as she that we must meditate on her. So you may say, oh, what happened to meditating on Krishna? It's not that one or the other, but to actually get to the stage where we just are fully, solely, only Krishna, we have to see how it's done. And so we see, like Mother Yasoda, she was churning, she's the queen, she doesn't churn butter. Krishna was so naughty. She heard rumors that he was stealing butter. She never believed it once. But she thought, well, okay, maybe he doesn't like what my cooks are doing in the kitchen. Let me do it myself. I'll do it myself. So she got the prima ganda cows, and the cows that the milk smells just like honey. It's prima ganda. It's beautiful. There's a name of the cows that the milk is the most fragrant. And so she got that milk, and she was, I'm going to do it. She sent everybody out. So nobody was there to watch Krishna even. It's just her and Krishna and she was chanting. Prabhupada says we should meditate on that form. So as we're seeing Krishna do these actions of coming and going and the effect of he has on the devotees, we should meditate on that. Actually, tomorrow, a little envious. There's 2 verses that are just for this. So do it. Don't look at it now. But tomorrow, really just take those words of sutta in. Why is it so detailed? Why is it so detailed? It's for us to meditate on. So, boy, it's a preamble. We're not even going to get to the sidetrack. Okay, text 31. When the ladies of the capital of Hastinapur were greeting him and talking in this way, the Lord smiling, he smiles again. He's smiling. He's giving. The Lord, smiling, accepted their good greetings, and casting the grace of his glance over them, he departed from the city. So you can just imagine if we meditate on this if you really think, and a lot of times when we're hearing of the Pandavas, and we do need a little understanding of who these people are, who these personalities are, and that'll come in time. Many of you, this may be your first time going through or second time. And as you go in your devotional service, as you progress, you'll learn more about the mentalities of, especially if you have children, and especially if you have boys, you're going to have to read the Mahabharata. You're going to have to read it, and you're going to have to read it over and over and over again because they want to hear the Mahabharata. Want to hear the fighting and the bows and the horses and the chariots and all that. But when you do that, the benefit for the parent is that, you really get to hear about how Arjuna's mentality is. What's Bhima's mentality? What makes Sahadev different from Nakula? You learn these things. And then when you hear this, when they're just seeing them, there's separation. You start to understand it a little more. So don't worry, it will come to you in time. 32, Maharaj Yudhisthira, although no one's enemy, a Jatashatru, engaged 4 divisions of defense, horse, elephants, chariots, and army, to accompany Lord Krishna, the enemy of the Asuras. The Maharaj did this because of the enemy, and also out of affection for the Lord. Right? So again, here's another thing. This snehat, and great affection for Krishna. And when we hear all the things that Krishna has done for Yudhisthira in his life, and when we hear of that, and when we think about that, we can actually get a little taste for it. Running out of time. Out of profound affection, dridham snigdham, out of profound affection for the Lord, the Pandavas, who were of the Kuru dynasty, accompanied him a considerable distance to see him off. They were overwhelmed with the thought of future separation. Overwhelmed. Viraha. This word when in the Nectar of Devotion and Love, viraha, this separation, future separation. The Lord, however, persuaded them to return home, and he proceeded toward Dwarka with his dear companions. So, here that even though they finally accepted, they kept saying, "Don't go, don't go, don't go, don't go." Then finally they accepted. Krishna is going. All right, we'll go with him. That'll solve it. We'll just go with him. And so this would happen all the time in Krishna's pastimes. Krishna would go to the forest, and Yasoda and everybody would be going out with him. No, go back. Oh, no, you need this, you need that. Okay, I got it now. Okay. And it would go on, this back and forth. And same here. And in the Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, the same thing. You want to go to Vrindavan? Not a good time right now. It's Kartik. It's going to be very cold. Don't go there right now. Okay. Oh, okay. Now I'm going to go. No. Don't go. Don't go. It's almost Jagannath Rath Yatra. You can't miss Rath Yatra. Okay. Don't go. And I'm gonna go. No, don't go. It's almost it's this other thing and this other thing and then back and forth. And this happened for 2 years because the devotees' attachment to Krishna, profound affection, their profound affection. That's what we want to meditate on. What is it? How is it that they have this profound affection for Krishna? Because he's counseling them. He's giving them military advice. He's giving them moral advice. He's giving advice for their problems. And these are the things that we go to Krishna for as well. Get to the point I want to get to. Okay, we're going to continue. Huh? He's not here. Ooh, 5 more minutes. Okay. Oh, Shaunaka. The Lord then proceeded toward Kurujangala, Panchala, Surasen, the land on the bank of the river Yamuna, Brahmavarta, Kurukshetra, Matsya, Saraswati, the province of the desert and the land of scanty water. After crossing these provinces, he gradually reached the Soviria and Abira provinces. Then, west of these, reached Dwarka at last. So this is, again, when you get more background and your understanding, you know who lives in each of these. Oh, Matsya, the king of Matsya. This is where Abhimanyu married, Subhadra, and these wonderful things. So as you become more accustomed to hearing about Krishna, you'll get these background. But then we're seeing he's proceeding through this. So we meditate on Krishna as traveling. And then what happened in those travels on this last verse? On his journey through these provinces, he was welcomed, worshipped, and given various preparations. In the evening, in all places, the Lord suspended his journey to perform evening rites. This was regularly observed after sunset. So he's going, and you can just imagine. We're hearing the big, he's leaving Hastinapur going to Dwarka, but every stop along the way was the same thing. He's coming. Oh, he's going. He's coming. He's going. He's coming. He's going. This is all to increase their attachment to Krishna. Every one of them. He's coming. He's going. He's coming. He's going. And we sometimes struggle with that in our life. Sometimes he's very prominent in our life. And sometimes, oh, what has happened? I have to do something. I have to do this. I have to maybe dip a little deeper again. Find Krishna again in my day-to-day. And that's why I wanted to shift. Could you jump somewhere? Kalo. Kalo Bharavisyamanam, 9th canto, last chapter. It's in the 50s or 60s. Let's just go there. We'll find it. Kalo Bharavisyamanam, Dukkha Shoka Tamo Nuna, Anugrahasya Bhaktasya. Krishna is so merciful to us, to the bhaktas. 9th canto. Last chapter. Last chapter. Just go to the database. Go to the database. Okay, go to 9th canto, and then choose the last chapter. When I go there, I see all the books. Right? Not the database. I think it's 24, 25. Sorry. See, this is what happens when you don't prepare. 50s or 60s. Keep going. That's 40s. Keep going. Keep going. Yeah, no. It's a no. Keep going. Keep going. No. That's okay. Next one. I think it's the next. Yeah. Okay. Click on that. Let's go to Sanskrit. Hello, Jani. Oh, Jani Shimana. Dukkha shoka tamonudam anugrahaya bhaktanam supunyam yatano yasa. Hello. So this is a very if this verse doesn't draw you into Srimad Bhagavatam, I don't want to give any negative. So it should draw you in. Why the Srimad Bhagavatam is good for us. So Kalo is the age of Kali. So who here is in the age of Kali right now? Yes. Okay. And Janish Yamananam, who here sometimes we're suffering. Sometimes we're suffering. Okay, so Kalo in the Kali Yuga, for those who are suffering, and why are we suffering? Dukkha, shoka, tamo, nudham. Dukkha, unhappiness, shoka, lamentation, because tamo, nudha, out of ignorance. Anugrahaya is because he is so merciful to those who are in Kali Yuga, who are suffering with unhappiness and lamentation. He is so, and then it says Bhaktasya of the devotees. So even in this, Prabhupada, and we'll get to it in a moment, Prabhupada is saying that the devotees even are suffering sometimes unhappiness and lamentation. Supunyam. He is displaying something to them specifically. That means us, because we've already established we are the Kalo Janish Yananam. Supunyam Vyatano. It's just ever expanding yasha, fame. So let's go to the translation and try to just to have half of it. There we go. To show causeless mercy. That means causeless mercy is a type of mercy that we don't deserve. You could say. We may not deserve it. But Krishna is so merciful. He gives mercy without any cause. Anugrahasya. To the devotees, bhaktasya, to the devotees who take birth in the future in this age of Kali. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, acted in such a way that simply by remembering him, one will be freed from all the lamentation and unhappiness of material existence. Now, doesn't that make Srimad Bhagavatam a very personal thing to you? That here's a gift of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna says, I will give this to them because this will take away their dukkha and shoka, their unhappiness and their lamentation from tamonadha, from the material existence. And now that's the verse. Now Prabhupada, he does, because Prabhupada is our acharya, pure devotee, and he knows what Krishna is thinking. He knows what Sukadeva is thinking when they are reciting these things. Prabhupada adds another sentence. In other words, he acted so that all future devotees, that's us, we're still in that term, or at least we're future. I'm in the future. I'm trying to be a devotee. By accepting the instructions of Krishna consciousness stated in Bhagavad Gita, can be relieved from the pangs of material existence. So this is like such a wonderful thing. Just by taking the Srimad Bhagavatam and very carefully looking at these, what is the effect of the Pandavas? What is the effect of their relationship? And you only have one more chapter of Krishna actually being present, you could say, directly being described in the chapter. And then you won't see him again, except by memories of others. Won't see him again until the 10th canto. That's a lot of reading. Because Prabhupada said, one must read the first canto, second canto, second, third, fourth, very progressively. And when you get finally to the 10th canto, you will be self-realized soul. So just follow, but the prescription should be in this way. You're looking very deeply. You're looking very intricately. What is Krishna doing? What is his devotees doing? And so take advantage of it. Take advantage of every moment you have where especially when there's a description of detail, and that you'll get tomorrow. You'll get a very detailed description of Krishna. So take it very wonderfully, and then, yeah, we don't have time for the sidetrack. It's all, the time is done. So I will take any comments or questions at this time, if you have any. If they're none, maybe we'll go. What was the sidetrack? Good question. Let's see if there's any other questions.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. It's interesting. I just can't but not to notice how this Krishna appearing early on in Bhagavatam and then not being there at all. This, what he does here, also kind of foreshadows exactly what Krishna is about. That he's not here to stay unless we accept him in the way he's away, mode of separation.
That the Pandavas are about to experience, the separation that they're about to experience. It's, of course, all the Lord Chaitanya is teaching to teach us this. But when one becomes very astute and very realized in this separation, then that turns into union. It's a very wonderful statement of in the description of this, of Krishna and the gopis' feelings of separation, and Uddhava. When Uddhava comes and he speaks to them, that he was thinking, oh, I gotta try to. They look so distracted. I gotta quell it a little bit. Let me talk about Krishna as a Supreme Personality of Godhead a little bit. He's the Supreme Lord. He's the controller of everything. And so, in so many words, the gopis are saying, our problem is not that we can't remember, because his advice, just remember Krishna. Remember, they said, our problem is not that we can't remember Krishna or we don't remember Krishna. Our problem is that we can't think of anything but Krishna. And we can't do anything else. Because that separation and that attachment is so much Krishna is there that is all they have. And they become almost dysfunctional. You can't even function. The descriptions of Yashoda just sitting there, just not eating, just sitting, and Vrindavan apparently seeming to become, unkempt in some ways, because they're so much with Krishna in separation. That also is very an elevated understanding. But when we hear about the devotees, again, as the clue by Jiva Goswami was that we have to see the relationship of the devotees with Krishna. See their separation, and naturally we're in separation of Krishna, whether we desire it or not, whether we care about it or not. I mean, we are separated, but we have the process for associating with Krishna. So chanting the holy name is always in association with Krishna. And then we can say, well, yeah, that's okay, I get that, but you know, it's not real. But Bhaktivinoda says, no, when that name is on my tongue, the body can no longer contain it. The body shakes, shivers, trembles, because that's the realization that Krishna is there. But we're chanting his name because we're feeling separation from him. So it's quite a quandary. But that's what devotional service is. That's what the path that Lord Chaitanya has given us as the topmost. And so we take it and we embrace it. Yes.
In your years of devotional service and in reading the Bhagavatam, going to this first chapter and all the way to the 10th, how have you experienced your process of devotional separation grow? When you're reading the Bhagavatam, like what are the feelings that from when the beginning, when you first read the Bhagavatam, when you went through Canto 1 and you get to this point, it's like, oh, no more Krishna for 10 cantos. How has that evolved over your many, many years?
Oh,
what does it
yeah.
taste like?
It's very nice, and I'm trying to share it with you here. But yeah, I remember my first reading, I really liked the first canto, and I think everybody has that. But then when I got to the second canto, I got like halfway through. I went. It was actually Narendra, he was temple president. I said, I can't read this. Said, can you tell me what? I just read this page. I have no idea what I just read. He said, just go back to the first canto. Go back to the first canto. Got to the second canto. Got a little further. I was like, oh my God. Back again. And then got through the second canto. And then third canto. Okay, there's some action here, at least a little bit. But second canto stuff. But it's important. If we don't understand how Krishna is the source and the sustainer of everything, then we become bewildered as soon as we walk out the door. I think we spoke about that. Well, that was the lateral class, but Stavaram Jaganam Deki, na Deki, na Tarva. That the devotee, he sees Krishna everywhere, whether there's something inert and immobile like a tree or a rock, he sees Krishna's energy there, and he sees all the moving, living entities, all the things going around us. He sees it as Krishna's energy being misused. He sees it. And so the devotee's vision is quite different than the materialist vision. So as we go through the Srimad Bhagavatam, again and again, I would say to maybe my sixth reading through was really when I started, and that was when the VIEG started way back in the 90s or so. I remember that there was like a concerted effort to understand it more holistically. Because a lot of times, this temple is quite different. Most temples is one verse a day. And it'll take many, 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 many years to get through the whole Bhagavatam. So it's not that the Bhagavatam class is our method to read the books. We should also have our own reading of the books to go through the Bhagavatam. But don't get hung up. Sometimes, and I found that over the years, that one of the best methods was, okay, yeah, I don't understand this, but I'll go on. And then as you come around to it again, oh, okay, because it'll still take you, even on your own personal reading, it'll probably take you a year or so to get through all the Bhagavatams if you're an ardent reader. And each time you go through, you get a little more, because that's a year of service. Because it's not just reading, it's not just acquiring knowledge. We are chanting Hare Krishna, we're purifying our heart. We're doing service to Krishna. We're associating with devotees. We're worshiping the deities. and we're going to these very sanctified places. And these are the most powerful aspects of devotion for purifying ourselves. Those 5 things. If we do those, then every time, and that's why Prabhupada says, every time you read it, you'll see new lights, new light. And yeah, it's not like, oh, okay, I've read it. I'm done reading it. No, right now I'm in the 9th canto again. It's like great. It's, you more and more. I just, Sadhavo Hridayam, Ambarish, just 2 nights ago we were reading Ambarish, Krishna is saying to Durvasa, you don't know the story, but he's saying that the devotee has nothing but me in their heart. And I have no one but the devotees in my heart. And so it's like this, wow. When you think about that, wow, these devotees, it's so important to associate with them, and associate with them nicely. Don't take a hair out and make a demon and try to kill it, right? That's the backstory of the story. Yes, follow.
Following up on that answer, thank you. It offers a lot of insight onto how bhakti grows and grows and grows and grows. Thinking that it takes 6 times to go through, like it's just such a beautiful vision, because it's requires so much
times
patience.
To the 90s, so
Yeah.
I don't know how many it is now, but I like your growing example, and that's exactly what Lord Chaitanya talks about. Our bhakti is like a seed, and we very carefully, must be very carefully.
How would you recommend for an early Shastra reader to approach personal reading of the Shastra? Not in association, but Shastra study. What would be a method for great success and taste in personal reading?
Well, I will say that it's one thing that I've done, and I don't do it religiously, but in mystical Christian mystical Christian theology, they have what is called Lectio Divina, and it is 4 ways to approach the scripture. And I can't remember all of them right now, but it's to hear very submissively and to very small portions. Don't, like, again, when you sit down with a book, there are different times. There's sometimes, okay, I want to associate with the book right now. So let me open and I'll read something, and let me just read that one thing, that one sentence, and let me see how is Krishna speaking to me at that moment, or how is Prabhupada speaking to me in that moment? How are the acharyas speaking to me in that moment? But then there's also times, as I mentioned, I read almost a half a chapter as I got sidetracked this morning, because it was just like, wow, this is amazing. And it was reading because it was just the taste or the thirst was being quenched for every verse was dipping in. And so there's different times of reading. But to study, let's say study, the act of study is to, whenever you do anything, you need to first set a purpose, right? Why am I doing this? Oh, I want to hear about Krishna. And we have a whole chapter on why we hear about Krishna, Srinvata Sukata Krishna. It's part of our devotion. By attending classes in Srimad Bhagavatam, all that is disruptive in the heart kind of goes away. So that should be our intention. Okay, I want to do that. And then you have to set, I would say, you set some time and make sure that you have nothing else to do at that moment. That's like one of the things I do in these little Alone with Krishna retreats, that we want to make sure you have nothing else to do. Because as soon as you have this on your hip and it goes, then immediately my mind goes from Bhagavatam to this. Okay, where was I now? And that's not really entering. So shut off things, be in a nice, quiet place where you won't be disturbed. And I find also taking notes is very good to be able to write down some realization of what's being, and what is it says? Accepting the statements in Bhagavad Gita. How many times has Krishna told us something in Bhagavad Gita? Told us specifically, if you do this, I'm there. If you do that, I'm there. For those who constantly worship me with love, I give in understanding by which they can come to me. Aham Ivasya, Aham Sarvasya, blah, blah, blah. I am everything. I have a little placard out in my backyard. Whenever I go to my backyard, I first look at this. Oh, one who sees everything in me and sees me in everything. They're never lost. And they are with me. And so when I go out, even though I'm just looking at trees or the forest or something, then, okay, here's a reminder. Krishna just told me I should be seeing him in there. Shouldn't be seeing this or that. So approach it in a very, humble way, and take those times. But then there's also like casual reading time that you want to actually get the whole holistic part of Bhagavatam. Sometimes you do have to read, because the storyline with all the purports it kind of takes a while to even get a concept of that. So sometimes it's just opening it, just one word of Krishna, my Lord. I just opened this. I didn't have it marked. You are unlimited. You don't have to read the whole thing. So what does that mean to you, that you're unlimited? Do we even know what the concept of unlimited is? Okay, it's the universe. Okay, what's beyond the universe? Another universe. So what's beyond? You can sometimes sit at night and just think of these things, these unending infinity things. But you're unlimited. He is unlimited. Even the predominating deities of the higher planetary systems could not find you. So this is a statement saying it's making a difference. I'm this, and even greater personalities than me, they have no understanding of your unlimitedness. So when you think of a personality like that, natural reverence comes, and you can write about being reverential to Krishna. These are impetuses. This is kind of, and there's a lot of different study methods you can look up to help with that. But that was just something that I do. I have my study time, like alone with Krishna time. Be alone, no distractions. I'll really try to dive into, and then I have my reading time where I do want to get the concept, maybe the more overview side of things. So try that. Try to mix it up a little bit to see if that would help. But we are way over time.